Welcome back to another beginner series chapter. This is all about safety. If I sound a little bit different, it's because I have a cold, so bear with me. I'm talking through my nose. So safety. Every video from now on will be involved working, so either at the grinder, a bandsaw, lathe. So I thought it would be appropriate to put this chapter right before those videos will be published. First of all, I want to thank you all for such a great support. Thank you for watching, thank you for commenting, and I really appreciate that. So another stuff that I want to say before I dive into this is safety is your own concern. So if you're not feeling comfortable with anything that I'm showing you, or if you see anywhere else, do not do it. If you're not comfortable with that, please feel free to use whatever protection you have. So visors, face shield, full-on those that feed the air in the helmet, and whatever. So it is your own responsibility. So that is something that I need to say. And now my safety, my own safety, involves mostly using eye protection. So I have these pretty much all along the shop at the machines. So these have side protection glasses, and they are impact resistant. So they're a good beginning. Now, I would not advise you to use just this. No, this is something that I say but not do, because I use only these. I do not use a visor or a face shield. First of all, like those units that feed air in the helmet, they are great, but they are expensive, and I cannot justify that. Another thing is, when I started, I did use a face shield, but I find it really, how should I say this? It was actually in my way. I'm not used to doing like that. And another thing is, this is my own. I do this at my own risk. I do not recommend that you use this, so that's quite important thing. Another thing is that I was learned this way through my trade. It's a little bit different. I would say, at least we are maybe a few steps behind on safety, whereas in school, let's say, where they teach woodworking and woodturning, so they do not advise you to use all of the protection that you can put on yourself. So I come from a little bit different mindset, at least in the trade school I learned from the master. So now that is not excuse for me to use it now, but like I said, I'm not used to that. I quite enjoy using just these and as my own protection, but I do take other precautions, like I do not turn the wood that is highly cracked, that it has those breathing cracks that we talked in a few chapters back. I always check for the bark. If it's loose, I take it off if it is. So I take other precautions to have a nice, clean, safe bowl, let's say bowl, or anything other that we turn, so it would not explode, fall apart on the lathe at speed. So I've been turning 17 years, 4 years I've been turning bowls. I never had ball exploding on me or fly off. Now I did have actually once that it fell off, and with the chuck altogether. I didn't flick it on tight enough, and I was sending in the reverse, and it will fall off. So That was the only time the ball came off the lathe without me wanting. So those are the things that you have to take, in my opinion, even more attention, so that you're putting safe sound wood on the lathe instead of like big hunks of logs and just throw them on and use improper technique or improper tool on specific job, which can lead to very dangerous injuries. Another thing, now I would recommend for you, especially the beginners, to buy some sort of a face shield. Like I said, I used one maybe first 5 bowls. Then my father-in-law took it for, mowing, trimming the grass with the trimmer. And it was all covered in the grass, grime and everything. You couldn't wash it, so I just tossed it out and never looked back. But I would highly recommend, especially if you don't have a dust extraction, to buy that thing that feeds air, clean air into helmet. Another safety point at the lathe would be dust extraction. While I said it, I have it, so it's not big unit. It's okay for me. I would need to upgrade it at some point to get a bigger dust hood here. But this works okay. It does suck pretty much all the dust, but some of the dust, like from the the plum or other species, just flies off everywhere. And I do have a 3M respirator with 2 filters, which I use then in conjunction with the dust extractor. So I would highly advise you on dust to spend a little bit more money if you can, and get a better unit, better dust extraction, and or at least those mask or something. Other thing worth knowing as safety regards on the lathe is clothes. So I usually, like this smug has this thing you can wrap around and tighten your sleeves. Long sleeves or quite loose sleeves. So sleeves, like if they're too long, can be dangerous. They can cut up in a chuck or something, so you need to be careful of that. Also, I do not wear a ring. I'm married. I do not wear it. I have you've probably seen it, I have a tattoo. My wife has one as well. I was taught from the trade, so 17 years ago, rings are quite dangerous if you're working with heavy lumber. Like in woodworking, we will always rearrange the 3-inch slabs or 2-inch slabs, and if one of those fell on your finger and crashed the ring, it could sever your finger. So it's not, or damage it to a point where you can't not repair it, but you know what I'm trying to say. So I never wore a wedding ring, so that's why I have a tattoo. And so that's another, like jewelries, like watches. Do not, if you have them, have it a little bit tighter on your wrist. Do not have it flopping around. So these are I would say these are common sense items that you have to assess for yourself and apply them. But as I heard from one experienced turner, common sense is not common anymore, so that has some merit to it as well. So just as you're at the lathe, use common sense. If you're not certain that something's stop, assess the situation, think about it, even do it the other day. You will be probably smarter and maybe come up with another idea to make something instead of doing something stupid on the lathe or dangerous and hurt yourself, or if there's anyone else in the shop, hurt them. So that will be like personal protection. Now, safety at the lathe. Now I'm going to bring you in a little bit closer so we can talk about lathe. As we are here at the lathe, one of the biggest safety concern about the lathe and its safety is the speed of the rotation. So there are numerous like calculators you can use or formula to divide the safe number of revolutions for a ball of certain size. Now, obviously, me as a production turner, I do not have time to calculate or use formula for every ball that's on the lathe or anything other. So I go by the feel. Now, obviously, I've been talking about safe timber, solid timber. Now, if you have like half of the ball solid and the other half is like spalted, that's quite a bit different in terms while it's spinning on the lathe. That softer side, the spalted one, is a little bit lighter than the solid side, and you'll have a big disbalance and it will vibrate more. So what that means for you, you have to bring the speed down. You do not want to turn a ball while the lathe is shaking around, running around the shop, and that is not safe. Something will go wrong. So as you're spinning the wood, the lathe has to be almost still. So no matter what the lathe is, whatever the size is, go by that. That's first step. The other step is mount your ball on the chuck. Now I'm not going to chew this up or anything, just going to pop it on the lathe, on the chuck, for an example. You can see how it's out of balance. Now bring the speed of the lathe all the way down. Now this is running at 480 RPMs. Now everything is still. I could turn safely with this. Now in my experience, this is a little bit too slow because especially when you have imbalance or rough edges like this, so it's not true, you're going to have much more like air cutting and wood cutting. So your gouge will be, and your pressure upon it will go in and out and it will be bouncy, and it's not like comfortable cuts. So I like to bring it up the speed, and you slowly rev it up to a safe point. Now you can go by the measure, which is there is another measure which is quite good, and that is I think I heard this from Stuart Barry. If you go up to 1000 RPM, the ball, let's say in this case, if it flies off the lathe, it will drop down. If you go higher than that, it will fly off, if that makes sense. So it will get airborne much more if it's higher than 1000 RPM. So until you chew up everything, you can stick to up to 1000 RPM. Now that obviously changes in size, and like there is a formula for let's say 10-inch ball, you divide it by 9000 and you'll get 900 RPM, and that's a good way to start. That will be the maximum RPM on which you turn the ball. Now this is now running at 1090 RPM. Now this is just slightly starting to shake, not much. So now it's vibrating and it's spinning way too much. This is now 1500 RPM. The lathe is shaking a little bit, maybe even the camera, because it's close to it. So I would bring that down while the lathe is still. And I will start turning at, let's say this is 900 RPM. The lathe is still, it's doesn't vibrate. So now I could put as usually the recess here, flip it around, screw it up, and then while it's screw up on the outside, you can bring the speed up. And on this size of balls, I would go maybe 1200, 1300 top, and that's it. Other thing is I have my belt pulleys on the middle, so that gives me range up to 1650 RPMs, I believe. And if by any accident you rev it up all the way, it's not crazy speed, it's not 3000 RPM, where the ball this size would probably fly off. So bear that in mind. Like I said, I use these pulleys 99%. Actually, I never changed on this lathe because it has enough power and speed to work on everything, even those tiny bit goblet that I did. So that's high enough speed for pretty much everything. So maybe if you're turning pens, then you could change it up to higher pulley, so you have much more RPM. But those are tiny stuff, small things. Regards this, like this is something like 10-inch ball. Yep, 10-inch. This is especially when it's out of balance, it's not safely to turn fast. So this is the one thing that is highly crucial to know at the lathe and lathe safety is to watch out for your lathe speed. Do not think of this lightly. Do not bring up your speed way up to. Now I would even consider, no matter what size of ball, I would not go past the 1650 RPM. So even if I'm turning small ball. So in the winter, when it's really cold here in my shop, and I don't have a heater because of those balls that are drying behind you, I have gloves which had no fingers on it, so I can still feel with my fingers what's happening, but you have to be as well aware that gloves can cut up in something. Another thing is, do not wrap any of the cloth around your fingers and try to do something. Do not do that. So if you're using a cloth, put it in your hand and then apply it. Do not wrap it around anything. So these are some basics of safety around the lathe, because we're going to start now with some project, or firstly sharpening, and then some techniques, and then some projects. So that will be nice to know for every beginner. So do not exceed some of the speeds, go slowly, go safely, think about it, what's happening at the lathe, think about your tools, your approach, and yeah, that's it, I guess. So happy turning, stay safe, use common sense, and we'll see you in the next chapter.